The first quote that I want to share is very meaningful to my recovery work with clients, and that is that the opposite of addiction is not sobriety, it is connection. And I believe that a majority of addictions get bigger and harder to overcome with secrecy. So the more that you're in secret and you're lying, secrecy is the lifeblood of addiction. That addiction is going to get deeper and more complex. And so the pathway out is becoming more connected to yourself, your emotions, your needs, more connected to your spouse, to your family, to your friends, to your God. And this pathway of deeper connection is going to give a real strong power to your recovery. I also want to say that I've had experience with drug and alcohol and a variety of substance-related addictions, but I've had extensive experience and training in process addictions, whether that be gambling or gaming or sex addiction. This last one, sex addiction, I've had a lot of referrals for. And what that looks like is someone may have had some trauma in their early life, and then they turn to pornography to self-soothe. And then that pornography starts to escalate to some unwanted sexual compulsive behaviors. And then oftentimes that results in problems at school, problems with work, problems with your intimate relationships, partners starting to feel betrayed or spending the night viewing porn and then not being able to function very well the next day. These are some examples of problems escalating as the addiction sets in. Here are 7 steps that I believe are just some of the hallmark steps to have a successful recovery. The very first step is coming out of hiding. While you're living in secrecy and lying, it's just going to get bigger and the problems are going to continue to escalate. In my first visit with a client, I can often tell if they'll be successful because I'm assessing their desire to get well. What's motivating them to get well? The people that really have a deep desire do the remaining 6 steps that I'm going to go through with vigor and discipline, and they become successful. So number 2 is understanding the nature of the illness. I believe that just as a rocket ship takes a lot of fuel to get out of the Earth's atmosphere, early recovery requires a lot of education. So knowledge is power, and the more power you can get, you don't feel as powerless over this addiction. And then you start to deepen your desire, and you start to learn some recovery rituals and also learn some self-awareness about your triggers. Like, for example, a lot of my guys struggle with emotional regulation, so they could be bored. They need excitement. They don't need their addiction. When they're lonely, they need a person. They don't need to escape with their addiction. Stress, they need some relaxation instead of going to their addiction to numb or to escape. So shame is another complex emotion that really goes chronically alongside of addiction tendencies. And so Brene Brown is my favorite author in the area of shame, but there's also some other tools that I've developed to help people manage the shame that feeds the addiction. The other thing I like to point out, especially with sex addiction, is that there's really 3 recoveries we need to do. There's the addict's recovery, the partner who feels betrayed and low trust and probably has a lot of trauma triggers and reactivity. That's a second recovery, the partner's recovery. And then the third is the relationship recovery. The relationship has become unsafe, it lacks trust, and there's just a lot of volatility and instability. And my job as a couples expert is to create some stability and safety initially. Next level is some empathy, and then next level after that is deeper repair of the couple relationships bond. The next thing I like to focus on is just the importance of consistency in self-care and recovery rituals, and doing that in a very honest way with yourself and those around you. And when you have slips or relapses, be gentle with yourself with self-compassion, but also be direct and take it seriously and build a recovery relapse prevention plan around each of those relapses so you get stronger and more self-aware. And the last principle is the principle of spirituality. and also surrender. There's too many people that do recovery Lone Ranger style. I'm just going to just pull myself up by my bootstraps. I'm going to just be strong and disciplined. Recovery usually doesn't work so well long term for this mindset. You really do need a higher power, and spirituality and the principle of surrender is really important, and humility. These are some foundational principles that's going to help your recovery go well. So in closing, I just want you to know that I believe that addicts are some of the most tender-hearted people, and I see seeds of greatness in all my clients. Addiction just happens to be one of those problems that doesn't allow your seeds of greatness to grow, whether that be in your career or with your relationships. So as you do recovery in some of the principles that I mentioned here, you are going to experience love for yourself, love for your spouse, love for family and friends at a much deeper level. Your self-peace or your self-confidence will come back, as well as a peace will come that you feel whole, you don't feel flawed or defective. And so recovery is worth it. And so I encourage you to reach out and learn how you might be able to get started with your recovery.